Welcome to Skytech-Lens. In 2025, the Trump administration's sudden tariff hikes on Japanese vehicles and parts sent shockwaves through the auto industry. What started as a modest tariff soared to 27.5% before settling at 15%, creating a financial crisis for Japanese automakers deeply invested in the US. The new rules meant a car made in Japan and sold in the US could face a total tariff burden nearing 49%. This upended decades of carefully built supply chains and made long-term planning nearly impossible. Japanese companies like Toyota and Honda suddenly faced billions in lost profits and a fundamental threat to their US business models. The administration's goal was to force more production onto US soil, but the immediate result was chaos. Now, every component crossing a border was subject to punishing new costs, grinding the intricate dance of global logistics to a halt. For multinational corporations, predictability is everything. The tariff shock shattered that, making the US market a source of risk. The message was clear. The old way of doing business was over, and Japanese automakers needed a plan B. As the ground shifted, many began to look north for stability. The urgent search for a safe harbor had begun, and Canada was ready to answer. As Japanese automakers reeled from US trade chaos, Canada emerged as a beacon of stability. Ottawa doubled down on open trade, offering a predictable, welcoming environment, exactly what global manufacturers crave. Ontario's skilled workforce and deep automotive roots meant companies like Toyota and Honda could transition smoothly. Canadian governments actively courted investment, especially for electric vehicles, with incentives and long-term support. Most crucially, Canada's membership in the CPTPP created a free trade superhighway with Japan, slashing tariffs and friction. Japanese automakers could now build cars in Ontario with Japanese parts and export them across the trade bloc, bypassing US tariffs. Canada was no longer a secondary market, it was becoming the strategic hub for North American operations. For Japanese executives, the choice was clear. The risk of staying in the US now outweighed the cost of moving. The great migration of automotive investment was underway, heading north. Canada's calm shores beckoned as the new center of gravity. Subaru's Indiana plant became ground zero for the new trade reality. Once a model of cross-border efficiency, it was suddenly caught in a tariff crossfire. US tariffs on imports, Canadian retaliatory tariffs on exports. Serving the Canadian market from Indiana became financially impossible. Subaru announced it would stop building Outbacks for Canada in Indiana, shifting production back to Japan. The result, Subaru's exports from Indiana to Canada plummeted, and the plant lost a key market. This wasn't about demand or quality, it was about survival in a new era of trade barriers. The move signaled that tariffs, not geography, now dictated supply chains. If exporting from the US became too costly, companies would move production elsewhere, even across oceans. Subaru's decision was a warning. The old North American auto market was fracturing, and many feared it was just the first domino to fall. The shift north isn't just a boardroom story, it's a gut punch for American workers and towns. In places like Lafayette, Indiana, fewer shifts and looming layoffs threaten the middle-class stability manufacturing once promised. Local economies suffer as factory cutbacks ripple out to small businesses and public services. Meanwhile, Canadian communities, especially in Ontario, are booming with new jobs and investment. The irony is stark: policies meant to protect US jobs are pushing them away. American workers watch as opportunity flows north, while Canadian workers seize a new era of prosperity. The dream of an American manufacturing renaissance is fading, replaced by a Canadian one. Trade policy, once invisible, is now reshaping lives on both sides of the border. Tariffs don't just hit factories, they hit American wallets. Higher import taxes mean higher sticker prices for new cars, with costs passed directly to buyers. Mazda's popular sedan jumped nearly 20% in price. Mitsubishi raised prices by over $2,400 per vehicle. Even US-assembled cars cost more, as imported parts are now pricier. Many Americans delay buying new cars or turn to the used market, driving up prices there too. Meanwhile, Canadian consumers are shielded by open trade, enjoying stable prices and steady supply. The result, a tale of two markets where American buyers pay more for less, while Canadians benefit from global trade. Protectionist policies, meant to help, are making cars less affordable for US families. Today's exodus of Japanese auto investment to Canada echoes the 1980s. Back then, US quotas on Japanese cars forced automakers to build plants in North America. Honda and Toyota didn't just choose the US. They invested early in Canada, turning Ontario into an industrial backdoor. Cars, built in Canada, could be shipped south, sidestepping US restrictions. The strategy worked, cementing Canada's role as a manufacturing powerhouse. Now, history repeats. US tariffs are again pushing Japanese automakers north. Canada, with its open trade and stable climate, is the big winner. The lesson is clear. Global companies will always find a way around trade walls. Canada's playbook, welcoming investment, building partnerships, has watchamakban still reduces truck will door birdie pobaspanda. Ambapanda and Bishwandra Bondi. Dover Bicon these that's Boston Stanchtenwan. And over the Aberfon shit is outstanchers. The current shift is just a new chapter in a familiar story. When protectionism rises, Canada thrives. Canada's rise as an auto hub is no accident. It's the result of a deliberate open trade strategy. While the US turned inward, Canada built bridges, joining the CPTPP and securing deals with the EU. For Japanese automakers, this means tariff-free parts from Japan, seamless exports to Europe, and a stable base for global operations. Canada's trade network insulates manufacturers from US volatility, making it the logical choice for new investment. Companies can diversify risk, access new markets, and avoid the whiplash of American policy shifts. The US withdrawal from the TPP left a vacuum Canada was quick to fill. Now, billions in auto investment and thousands of jobs are flowing north. Canada's smart positioning has made it indispensable for global manufacturers. Open trade isn't just policy. It's a magnet for prosperity, and it's reshaping the North American auto map. Ontario is reclaiming its place as North America's automotive powerhouse. 7 major Japanese plants now anchor a thriving ecosystem, supporting 30,000 direct jobs and many more indirectly. Over $14.6 billion in Japanese investment has supercharged growth, especially in hybrids and electric vehicles. Ontario's mineral wealth, lithium, nickel, cobalt, has created a clean energy bridge with Japan, attracting battery makers and suppliers. The result, a fully integrated, efficient, and sustainable EV supply chain, all within a stable, trade-friendly jurisdiction. Toronto is emerging as a hub for logistics, R&D, and management. Since 1993, Canada has exported over 5.2 million Japanese brand vehicles worldwide, a trend that's only accelerating. Ontario is no longer just a branch plant for the US. It's a global export platform and a model for advanced manufacturing. In the trade wars, Ontario is the silent winner. In global manufacturing, predictability is the most valuable asset. Companies invest billions based on the assumption that trade rules and policies will remain stable. The US tariff shock shattered that trust, making long-term planning nearly impossible. Canada's steady commitment to open trade and regulatory stability became its greatest advantage. For Japanese automakers, the premium for predictability outweighed the benefits of proximity to the US market. Policy stability, not geography, now drives investment decisions. The lesson for governments attracting industry isn't just about low taxes or cheap labor, it's about trust and reliability. Jobs are fleeing not just tariffs, but instability. For workers and communities, the unseen currency of predictability is priceless. In the end, stability wins the future. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.